Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're tackling a hazard that a lot of drivers really underestimate: strong wind. It's this invisible force that can take a totally normal, clear day and turn your drive into a real battle for control.
Yeah, let's dive right into this, because that quote, it just nails the feeling, right? That sudden heart in your throat lurch where your car feels like it has a mind of its own. That's the moment a normal drive can turn into a struggle just to stay in your lane. So in this explainer, we're going to give you the tools and the know-how to handle those days safely.
All right, so here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll talk about reading the invisible signs of wind before it becomes a problem. Then, we'll get into what the wind is actually doing to your car, the physics of it all. After that, we'll dive into your driving playbook, the specific moves you need to make. And finally, and this is a big one, we'll talk about knowing when to just stop, when the safest call is to stay off the road entirely. Okay, first up, how to read the signs. You can't see the wind, obviously, but the clues, they are all around you if you just know what to look for. And spotting them early, well, that's the difference between being caught off guard by a huge gust and being totally ready for it.
So start by just looking around you. Your environment is telling you a story. Are those trees just rustling a bit, or are they really swaying violently? See any dust or leaves blowing across the road? Look for flags. Are they flapping hard? And if you happen to see a windsock, like at an airfield, and it's stretched out straight, that's a huge giveaway. Even those big, heavy overhead signs can start to shake. And it's not just what's outside. Your own car is going to start talking to you. You might feel this gentle but constant pull to one side. Or maybe the steering feels a little weird, either heavier than usual or sometimes unusually light. And listen, you might hear that distinct whistling sound as the air rushes past your windows and mirrors. These are all subtle for sure, but they're really important clues.
One of your best early warning systems can actually be the other cars on the road. Keep a close eye on those big, high-profile vehicles. I'm talking about the semi-trucks, the vans, the RVs. If you see them swaying or struggling to stay in their lane, well, that's your giant flashing sign that conditions are getting dicey and you're about to feel exactly what they're feeling.
All right, so now we know how to spot the wind. Let's get into what's really happening to your car. It's a bit more complicated than just a simple push from the side. And trust me, understanding the why here is going to help you react the right way.
So this is the big one, the one you feel the most. That sideways shove. We call it lateral movement. A really strong crosswind can literally push your car sideways, causing you to drift out of your lane. And that's incredibly dangerous, right? Because you could drift right into another car. This is the main force you're going to be fighting against. And this is exactly why the type of vehicle you're driving matters so much. If you're in a big truck, a van, or an SUV, you've got this huge flat side that acts just like a giant sail on a boat. It just catches the wind and makes you way more unstable. But if you're in a smaller, lower car like a sedan, well, you've got less surface area for the wind to grab onto, which gives you a big advantage.
Okay, but here's a question that might surprise you. How can wind actually reduce your tire's grip on the road? It seems totally counterintuitive, doesn't it? How can air pushing on your car make it feel like it's got less contact with the pavement?
Well, the answer is all about aerodynamics. As that strong wind whips around and even under your car, it can create this subtle lifting effect, kind of like a mini airplane wing. And what does that do? It slightly reduces the downward force that's pressing your tires onto the road. Now, it's a small effect, but think about it. On a wet or an icy road, that tiny loss of traction could be the difference between staying in control and not. Okay, we've covered how to spot the wind, and we understand what it's doing to the car. So now for the most important part, your driving playbook. These are the proactive, hands-on strategies you need to use to stay in charge out there. All right, these 5 actions are absolutely crucial, so listen up. First, a firm grip. Both hands on the wheel, people. Think 9 and 3 or 10 and 2. This is non-negotiable. Second, and this is the big one, reduce your speed. It is the single most effective thing you can do. Third, gentle steering. You're making small, smooth corrections into the wind, no sudden jerks. Fourth, increase your space. Give everyone, especially those big trucks and RVs, a lot more room. And finally, number 5, be prepared. Anticipate those big gusts in open areas when you go over a bridge or when you come out from behind an overpass.
But how much do you actually need to slow down? That's a great question. This chart gives you some really good ballpark figures. So for moderate winds, say 20 to 30 miles per hour, you should probably knock about 5 to 10 miles per hour off your speed. But once you get into those strong winds, over 30 miles per hour, Now we're talking about reducing your speed by at least 10 to 15 miles per hour, maybe even more, depending on your vehicle and what the road's like. Okay, this is a question we get all the time, and it's a really, really important one. Should you ever use cruise control when it's windy like this? The answer is a very simple, very loud no. Absolutely not. When you're driving in the wind, you need instant manual control over your speed to react to those sudden, unpredictable gusts. Cruise control is designed to do the exact opposite. It wants to keep you at a constant speed. So do yourself a favor, turn it off. All right, let's move on to our final section. And honestly, this might be the most important call a driver can ever make, knowing when it's simply too dangerous to drive at all.
You really got to understand what these official alerts mean. If you hear about a wind advisory, that means pay attention, driving will be tricky. If you see a high wind watch, that's your heads up that things could get bad, so get ready. But if you see a high wind warning, that's the big one. That means hazardous winds are expected, travel is not recommended, and you should seriously think about delaying your trip. And here is the number you need to burn into your memory: 40 miles per hour. If the forecast is calling for sustained winds of 40 miles per hour or more, that is a massive red flag. For most of us, in most vehicles, that's the point where conditions just become too dangerous to drive safely.
And look, if you decide to pull over and wait it out, or even if you're just parking your car during a windstorm, where you park really matters. A garage is best, obviously, but if you can't do that, get your car right up close to a building or a solid wall. Use it as a windbreak. And here's what you absolutely don't do. Don't park under big old trees. Don't park near utility poles or power lines. And stay away from anything that isn't tied down, like trash bins or construction materials. Those things can become missiles in high wind. So, here's the bottom line. The wind itself might be unpredictable, but your reaction to it, that doesn't have to be. Now you know what to do. The next time you're out there and you feel that breeze start to pick up, you'll be prepared. You'll have the knowledge to stay in control and, most importantly, to prioritize your safety. So, what will you do differently on your next drive?
Please like, subscribe, and get notified.